Previously on the last Pokemon Crystal Challenge run. That is just revenge for all of the times you've Secret Potioned us. And coming up, it doesn't matter that we do not have a beak. CROBAT is one of the most hotly requested Pokemon we have seen here on the channel, and it is an absolute delight to bring it to you today. Now, it is one of those pesky Generation 2 friendship evolutions, and that just means we're going to be starting from the very end of its evolutionary line to give us the best chance of getting through in a fairly good time. Now, if you do enjoy these runs, please do make sure to leave a like, think about subscribing, and if you want to see the videos slightly earlier, you can always join the HM Friends and become a channel member. Now for our stats, we've got 23 HP at level 5, we're holding a berry with Screech, Leaf Life and Supersonic, but those moves will change, 15 in attack, 14 in defense, 13 in special attack, 14 in special defense, and 19 in speed. And let's now see how CROBAT gets on. CROBAT is arguably a Pokemon we should have run a very long time ago together here on the channel, but in true Squidgy fashion, I'm not going to be doing it in the normal way. We are going to be doing an egg move run for our CROBAT, so that means we will not be engaging any Pokemon in battle until we get to Cherry Grove Pokemon Center. And goodness me, we are getting a lot of encounters here. Now, part of the egg move challenge means that this timer has to be going while we learn the egg moves, and I've decided we're going to pick up 3. We'll get quick attack, we're also going to get gust, and we'll get feint attack. I think those 3 moves together will provide the best start. We're going to keep hold of Supersonic as well. I think Supersonic could prove to be vaguely handy at times. And now that we've got rid of all of those 3 moves, I'm feeling a lot better about this run. I've got to be honest. Without these moves, the start of the CROBAT challenge is not particularly pleasant in the slightest. Leech Life is not a good move. There are very, very few use cases where you'll want to use Leech Life above anything else on the learn set if you have another option. So by having 3 fairly good moves, I think they're 2 base 40 power moves and a base 60 power move. Of course, that base 60 power move with Gust, base 40 power move with Gust rather, will become base 60 power with Stab. That is a little bit better, and Quick Attack being a priority move, it means in Slowpoke well especially, we can get the first hit on those pesky rats that will show their faces. Now, another good thing about having the flying type early on is you get a lot of bugs on Route 30 and 31, and the rest of the Pokemon are grass types for the most part, so you're able to do a lot of damage. Now, I have given the rival the Totodile line in this particular challenge. It was really a choice of all of them, and I thought Totodile, because of the chance to flinch, might be interesting, but I doubt we are going to be slower than it throughout the course of this challenge. Now, I failed to do the good movement there, and we are being punished with a Sentret encounter, but we'll get back on track now, and we'll name the rival triple question mark. And we can start thinking about heading towards our first gym, which is going to be located in Violet City. And now we are entering our first gym together. I decided to do Sprout Tower in this particular challenge. I thought it might be worth it because it was only going to be an extra minute or so to get a couple of extra levels at the beginning of the game, some extra stat experience, and everything in there, barring the Hoot Hoots, was a one-shot. So it wasn't a particularly time-consuming endeavour to go up Sprout Tower, and I think it might make all the difference in the early to mid-game as well, because we have to think about Pokemon trainers like Whitney with her pesky Miltank, even this early on, and I think getting those extra couple of levels might make Whitney a little bit easier. So we are getting our first badge in 6 minutes and 54 seconds. That is with Sprout Tower. It is also going to make Rock Tunnel and Silver Cave ever so slightly quicker, because I don't have to worry about going around in the dark. So you never know, it could prove to be a smart play. Then again, it might not be. We will find out eventually when we do a redo of this CROBAT. For now though, we're going to get our first run over the line. We'll grab the Prosecure Berry from the tree, and we'll make our way through the Union Cave. And now that we are outside the other edge of the cave, we will pause the timer to get our Spearow. Spearow's going to be helping us out with Fly. We will call this one Kenya like we always do for our Spearows. and then we will head into the forest and we're going to catch our next HM friends. And we're actually going to do reverse buildings in Azalea today, so we're going to do them after we have gone into Ilex Forest, and that is because I want to pick up Swift. We're going to get rid of Quick Attack. I'm probably going to teach that at some point after the rockets, but I think Swift will be quite useful for this middle section of the challenge until we get our grubby mitts on a decent powered return. So I tell you what, I'll go and grab Swift, I'll beat up the rockets, and it'll be time for what will hopefully be a very easy gym. All of the gym trainers have been defeated here in Bugsy's gym. It was one-shots across the board, and that brings us on to Bugsy himself. Bug-type specialist led with a Metapod already gone down. Kakuna's going to be a one-shot, and it's probably going to be a two-shot on the Scyther. We are either speed-tied or we outspeed the Scyther. We knock it out in 2 hits, and we will say yes to Confuse Ray in place of Supersonic. And we get our next badge, the Hive badge, in 11 minutes and 50 seconds. I will absolutely take 1 single point of damage in this gym. Let's take on Rival 2 now. Hopefully he won't prove to be too problematic in this one. He leads with Ghastly. We'll use Gust on the Ghastly. We'll knock it out in 1. And he's got a Zubat. We will have to show him that Crobat is better than Zubat. And then I think we'll have a little nibble on a Croconaw for a couple of turns. I was hoping for a flinch, and it's just not happening there. Never mind, we still get through unscathed in a time of just over 12 minutes and 20 seconds, and that means we can start making our way through the forest. And we have returned the Farfetch'd to the Charcoal Maker. We are now going to teach both Flash and Cut to our Paris, and then we'll be on our merry way further through the forest. We do not learn Headbutt today, which is a crying shame. I love Headbutt. So it's just going to be the Ethers here, and then we'll go out and we will catch our Abra. The one good thing about not having Headbutt is that you don't have to wear out the rappel steps on the other side of the forest. They are almost perfectly timed, and there we have Abra for another challenge, and we can make our way into Goldenrod. And now we have been to National Park, we've picked up Dig, we've done the 2 mandatory trainers down in the underground as well, and we are ready for Whitney. She is our 3rd gym leader together, a normal type specialist who leads with Clefairy. Clefairy goes down in 2 shots. Let's see how much rollout does. We'll confuse the cow now, see if we can get her a little bit locked from being able to hit her. She's gone for Stomp. That means nothing though in the end, because we are able to get our next badge in a time of 16 minutes and 39 seconds. Let us get out of here. I'm sure Whitney's not happy about that. She had the type advantage with rollout. She had a foolproof strategy, and it kinda didn't go her way. So we'll go and grab the Squirts bottle. We'll do our heal here in Goldenrod, and then we'll make our way over to Olivine. And now that we're here in Olivine, there are a couple of bits we need to do. The first thing, of course, is to pick up our repels. It's very important we get them. Otherwise, we will be getting encounters left, right, and centre. We'll get 9 repels. Now we are going to very quickly change the time. We're going to change it to Monday because there is something I want to pick up in just a moment. We will grab Strength. I wish we could learn Strength. It's a fairly decent move for the mid-game. And now this lady here, this is Monica of Monday, and she gives the Sharp Beak. It doesn't matter that we do not have a beak. We have a flying type move, so we are going to hold on to the Sharp Beak straight away, and before we forget, we'll change the day back to Sunday so that we can pick up Return. In case you aren't familiar with the Generation 2 mechanics, the Day of the Week siblings give 7 of the type boosting items out, and there are 7 of those trainers dotted across the map. They will all only spawn after you have the Zephyr badge, which is something a lot of people seem to forget, which is why we don't get the stupidly early pink bow. And also, Return is only available on Sundays in the Goldenrod department store next to the other TM vendor. However, the big thing about Return from that TM vendor is it is technically renewable every Sunday. The vendor will come back. We have been roared here, so we pause the timer until we get a turn where we do not get roared out. That is standard across all the challenges. Roar is one of those moves, especially in a place like this. There's not much we can do about it. So they are the rules for Roar. And we are nearly at the top of the lighthouse now, and at the very top of the lighthouse we will be having a little chat with Jasmine. She is going to be on hold for a lot of this challenge though. I think we'll probably end up doing her 6th, but after we've taken care of the rockets in Mahogany, because it could be a tough couple of gym battles after Chuck. I think both Price and Jasmine have the potential to be fairly tricky. But now we are done here in the lighthouse, let's get ourselves back to Ecruteak. And now here we are in the Burnt Tower, where we are ready to take on rival number 3. This time he is going to lead with Haunter, and I think that's going to be absolutely fine for us. We have Bite, it doesn't quite one-shot, but we do get a flinch. Now we are going to say yes to Wing Attack in place of Gust. That is a fantastic move for us. I did misclick there. I meant to go for Hidden Power. And then we will Wing Attack the Zubat. And that just leaves Croconaw left to go. Should be just a couple of Wing Attacks to knock it out. And we are through Rival 3. We'll fall through the floor. And we will take on Morty. And now we are ready for Morty. We're holding the Mince Berry as we always do for this battle. And we have, of course, got a fairly good chance of getting through this one. Wing Attack is more than strong enough to one-shot the first 2 Pokémon. Hypnosis misses, we've got the win. It's as simple as that. There we go, nice and clean Morty. Fog Badge acquired in 27 minutes and 28 seconds. Let us now return to Olivine and we'll cross the open seas, where I think we're going to have yet another easy gym battle. And now we were in One-Shot City getting through all of the gym trainers. I wouldn't have expected anything less from the flying type gym, from the fighting type gym when we are a flying type. And the one-shots continue here. It's probably going to be a 2-shot on the Poliwrath. I'm hoping that he goes for Hypnosis. We've had 2 Gen 2 misses in a row in 2 gym battles. So that means we get to hold on to the Mince Berry for even longer. Storm Badge in 29 minutes and 11 seconds. That is a really good Chuck split, actually. I'm very happy with that. Now, I do have a little bit of housekeeping to get on with, so we will meet back up when we are ready for our next gym leader. And now we are ascending the Lighthouse once more to have another little chat with Jazz. She has given the secret potion to Amphi, if you believe her story. I'm skeptical though, so I'm going to follow her into her gym, maybe during the casual conversation that will come up during this gym battle. She might slip up. She does lead with Magnemite. We're going to use Hidden Power. It goes down in 1. Same will happen for her second Magnemite. And now what about the Steelix? I think she's in Healing Loop range. I'm wrong. We just knock her out in 2. Absolutely fantastic. That is the Mineral Badge in 35 minutes and 43 seconds. With that, we can take a trip back to Mahogany Town, where we are going to go into a gym, which could be a little bit trickier. We're going to take on Skier Roxanne before we take on Price himself. That's just because she's a little bit easier than Border Douglas. We will give our Sharp Beak back so that we have every possible opportunity to get through this gym relatively unscathed, and we will take Price on. He is our 7th gym leader together, an Ice-type specialist. Unfortunately, he leads with Seal. Seal goes down, we'll fish for a flinch against the Dugong, and instead we get crit. That's not great. If we can flinch the Piloswine, we might be in business. Or he can just go for Mist, and we win anyway. Poor Price. Not only is his team terrible, his AI's just as bad. Glacier Badge in 36 minutes and 40 seconds. With that, we've got 7 gym badges. That means I'm going to go through a trip through the Ice Path, and we'll meet back up for Rival 4. And now we are in the underground of Goldenrod's department store, and we are ready to take on Rival number 4. This time he leads with Golbat, and he's used Confuse Ray, which is a little bit annoying, but hopefully it won't cause too many issues in the long run. Magnemite second, We are no longer confused. We'll grow up to level 42, and we are going to say no to Mean Lurk. We'll wing attack this Haunter, and then we are on to Sneasel. Once again, wing attack is more than enough, and then we should be able to 2 or 3 shot the Feraligatr, taking a teeny tiny bit of damage. That is Rival 4 all defeated. Now, while I was doing the rockets, I actually realised something that I'm not sure I've spoken about recently on the channel, and that is how the meta for Hidden Power has changed throughout the course of the challenges together. So it used to be that Hidden Power Ground was the go-to if you're a physical attacker, and Hidden Power Ice was the go-to if you're a specialist attacker, and more I've noticed I've been drawn to Hidden Power Fire. I feel like both Claire and Lance have many more different counters you can do than Jasmine and her Steelix. It's next to impossible to knock out that Steelix consistently with a physical move. So going for a special move is always preferable for the Steelix, even if your special attack isn't great. And then it just so happens that Hidden Power Fire also deals with a lot of Pokemon in the mid-game, where a lot of other Pokemon would struggle without it. So I'm actually going to say that Hidden Power Fire, at least for me and my challenges, is stronger than Hidden Power Ice now. You never know, by the time we get to Lance, I might be eating my words there. But that's something I've picked up over the last 12 to 18 months or so. You'll definitely have seen a shift away from Hidden Power Ice and more towards Hidden Power Fire here. Anyway, that only took about a third of the remaining rockets left. I'll get on with the rest of them and we'll meet back up in Blackthorn. Now, with all of the gym trainers taken care of, it is time for our final Jotonian gym battle. This is Claire. She is a Dragon-type specialist who leads with Dragonair. Now, I have a horrible feeling it could be a range here on the Dragonair, so we'll just have to hope that we high roll every single time, which is what we do, and that brings us on to Kingdra. And our plan is to just keep on using Return. There we go, nice and easy Claire battle, and we can rush into the Dragon's Den to get our next badge. And after answering the questionnaire correctly, Claire enters into the Dragon's Den, and we get our final Jotonian badge in a time of 49 minutes and 17 seconds. I'm always happy when we get sub 50-minute Claire, and I think especially today when we don't have the strongest of learn sets, I'm even happier. With that, we can get out of here and we can make our way towards the League. And now, just before taking on the League, we have to defeat the rival for one last time. This time he's going to lead with Sneasel, we'll use Return and we'll knock it out in one. And up second is Magneton. Hidden Power's still capable of one-shotting the evolved Magnemite. We'll go back to Return for the Kadabra. We grow up to level 50. And up next is Golbat. We one-shot it this time, and that brings us on to Haunter. Haunter's a nice little one-shot with Bite. And then we'll continue biting, try and get the Feraligatr flinch, which we do at long last. And we have Damageless Rival 5, time of 52.25. With that, we're at the Pokemon League. So we're going to get 4 full restores, and we're going to make our way into the League. And now our first League member could be a little bit tricky. This is Will. He is a Psychic-type specialist who leads with Xatu. We one-shot that first Xatu, that's a really good sign. We get rid of Jinx as well, and we are on to Slowbro. We're going to use Bite against Slowbro. It uses Curse, that's brilliant for us, because that means we can guarantee the 2-shot. Up next is another Xatu. I'm a little bit worried about this one. Confuse Ray's not great. Like, that's one of the worst moves that could have happened there. We're going to take a lot of damage from Psychic as well, and we get knocked out, unfortunately. I think we might just need to play for ranges on this one and play for flinches. We always knew that Will was going to be a bit of a tricky trainer, and as we can see there with the pink bow, that is a range after all of that. So let's try once more. We're not getting that range we got on our first battle, which is a little bit annoying. We might have to go for the flinch here instead and see if we get it. I think this one could prove to be a little bit trickier than we would first have hoped, shall we say. We flinch that Xatu and we get through it. We know that we can one-shot Jinx with Return. We are next onto the Slowbro. We're going to bite it. It uses Amnesia this time, but we get the flinch. and we grow back up to level 51. A flinch would be perfect here, or just not hitting ourselves in confusion. Either works. We didn't get the high roll, but we didn't hit ourselves in confusion. That brings us on to Executor. We don't hit ourselves in confusion this time, and we are through Will. Thank goodness for that. That one wasn't a particularly pleasant battle, but we did make it through. Up next is Koga. He's a poison type specialist, much like us, and he leads with Ariados. We've got Wing Attack for the Ariados. We'll take it down in one. We'll do the same against the Venomoth as well, and that will bring us on to the Fortress. We've got Hidden Power Fire for the Fortress, so it goes down in just one hit. We will then swap to Return for the Muck. It uses Minimise, we hit through it, and that just leaves his CROBAT left to go. He uses Double Team, but there's not really too much he can do here. We knock it out, and we have defeated Koga on our first try in 55:03. Now our power points are looking a little bit low, so we'll use an elixir, and then a super potion, and we'll get on with Bruno. He is our next league member. He is a fighting type specialist who leads with Hitmontop. We will go for Wing Attack on the Hitmontop, and then we're going to have a little nibble on the Onyx here. Hopefully Sandstorm isn't too pesky for the rest of the battle. We will swap to Wing Attack now for the rest of this one and hope for the best. I think actually Sandstorm might have worked in our favour there, because that was probably a range, thinking about it, on the Machamp there. So in fact, Bruno helped us out there. Thank you very much, Bruno. Time of 55:54 rather. And now we are on to Karen. She is the Dark type specialist who leads with Umbreon. We're holding the Bitterberry, and we are hoping for the best here. We get through the Umbreon first try, which is absolutely fantastic. Gengar has sworn at us though, and that puts us on a clock for the rest of the battle. We'll Wing Attack the Murkrow, we will use a Return against the Houndoom and hope for the best. We end up taking a little bit of curse damage and a critical hit from Flamethrower. Goodness me. The RNG has been a little bit brutal here in this particular challenge, but we are scraping through on just 3 HP. That is Karen defeated 56:46. Let's heal up. And let us hold a Persecure Berry for Lance. And the plan with Lance is to panic. We will get through eventually. It won't be pleasant, but we will give it a good old try. He leads with Gyarados. We'll use Return, Rain Dance is meaningless, and we grow up to 59. Now, herein lies the issue. We are relying on a Gen 2 miss for these Dragonite. If we don't get a Gen 2 miss, then we have to take a reset. It's as simple as that. Bite is not going to be enough to get Return into one-shot range. So we just have to play around this 25% chance of the status move failing. Thunder is also not great. You can see a critical hit there as well, because that seems to be the pattern with the important hits against us in this particular challenge. So if we crit or we get a Gen 2 miss, we should be out of the woods. I think a crit will do 100% damage on the Dragonite here. It is just about finding the RNG. There we go, there's a crit. You just need to talk about it, and it sometimes happens. Rock Slide's going to hurt a fair bit. We're going to fish for a flinch. We are not getting very lucky with these flinches at all, are we? We're going to have to get a flinch on this Zard. We get through that, but I think we're going to get knocked out by this one. Yeah, even the critical hit there couldn't save us. We are getting into the point where we are getting into statistical anomalies here for how unlucky we are getting. It reminds me actually of a stream we did together with Alolan Ninetales, where we were just never getting the Iron Tail miss. No matter what we did, Iron Tail was landing every single time at Jasmine. And this is giving me exactly the same vibes here. We should have had another chance to get through to the end of this battle an awful long time ago. We have had one critical hit in this time, and we have had a grand total of 0 Gen 2 misses. This is kind of astonishing. Very frustrating as well, because this is now an unfair reflection on CROBAT. This is an unfair reflection of its capabilities, but that's the luck it got in this run, and that's how we do our runs here. We have now got through both these Dragonite for the first time in many resets. We get a crit on the Aerodactyl. We're going to swap to return. Let us move on to the Charizard. We're going to fish for a flinch. We get the flinch. We return it. I think the end is in sight now. If we can high roll this Dragonite just a couple of times, we're absolutely fine. We grow to level 60 and we are out of Lance Purgatory in 1 hour, 3 minutes and 15 seconds. Let us now get ourselves into the Hall of Fame. We are going to be doing an investigation onto why Lance took the secret potion from Jasmine in this particular challenge, and we'll get our Hall of Fame time of 1 hour, 3 minutes and 33 seconds. What a rough old start there for CROBAT. It is in last place on our midpoint leaderboard on the egg move runs, and it's not even that close. 70th place overall though for all of our crystal videos, so it's not that bad all things considered. Now hopefully the second half of this challenge will go an awful lot smoother, because don't forget there's another 8 gym badges on the red fight left to come, so don't you dare go anywhere, because Kanto is next. And we are rejoining the action as we always do here in Vermilion City, where the first thing we do in Kanto is the last thing we do in Johto. We're going to get another rare candy, this time from the chairman of the Pokémon fan club. With that safely tucked away in our bag for another challenge, I am more than pleased to announce that even though we've got a weakness to Surge, we are more than capable of taking on our standard Cantonian routing. So what does that mean? That means we're going to start here in Vermilion City with Lieutenant Surge, then it's across to Celadon City for Erica, down to Fuchsia City for Janine, it's up to Saffron City for Sabrina, even further up to Cerulean City for Misty, across the mountains to Pewter City for Brock, then down to the Seafoam Islands for Blaine, and we'll finish off with Blue. And now talking of Blue, if you do want to get ahead to the Blue fight, it's going to be starting at around about 30 minutes and 26 seconds. For everybody else sticking with us, let's now sit back, relax, and have our weekly Cantonian chat. And in this one, I want to start off by saying that this CROBAT video was the last video I recorded before getting really sick with that virus that's going around. And I completely forgot pretty much everything that went on in this run until I got down to editing it and doing this voiceover, now almost a month after when I started this recording session. So this is one of the longest videos that has ever been produced here on the channel, and it's not even for a good reason. It's just because I got sick. Now, one thing I did notice throughout the course of this challenge is that even with egg moves, we didn't have a very good learn set, and I think CROBAT is one of the prime examples of the Generation 2 learn sets that just do not work. We only have one good stab move, and that is Wing Attack. Base 60 power is not that high for the late part of the game either. We have no stab poison either, and those two combined meant that CROBAT had a much more difficult time than if it had some decent stab behind it. I'm thinking of Lance in particular. I think if we had Sludge Bomb and we had the poison boosting item, I think Lance would have gone an awful lot smoother than it did in this particular challenge. Now that's not to say I played perfectly, far from it in this run. I think this is one of my weaker performances in quite some time. However, I've always stated that the aim of the runs here is not to get perfection. It is to try and find that harmony between the Pokemon I'm running with and my own playstyle. Some Pokemon I pick up very quickly, and then others like CROBAT I struggle with. Sometimes it just happens where you don't quite figure out what the best way is to play a Pokemon. But that's what I enjoy. I enjoy the challenge and I enjoy the problem solving of whatever is presented in front of us and trying to find the right solution. Sometimes it can be using a move that you'd never consider, like Giga Drain on CROBAT here at the Brock fights for instance, is a very good shout We don't need it all at the time, and in fact I was saving some PP here just in case of Protect shenanigans, but overall Giga Drain did very well, and it gave us an answer to rock types that otherwise would not have had any solution whatsoever. I think that was my one smart play, honestly, throughout the course of this entire CROBAT challenge. But I reckon, give it some time, maybe in a different format, maybe even the Supermon format, we could come back to CROBATs with a fresh pair of eyes and hopefully give it a much, much, much smoother run. But can you believe we're at the end of another Kanto chat? So I'll hand you over to Blue. And so now we have made it to Blue for yet another challenge. He is our final gym leader of the challenge, a mixed type specialist who leads with Pidgeot. We are going to try and fish for a flinch, but it isn't successful. And it turns out that we need to do 2 returns on that Pidgeot to knock it out. Fortunately, Alakazam is paper thin with its defences, so it goes down. And then we can regain a lot of our HP, in fact, all of it courtesy of a quad super effective Giga Drain on the ride on. Gyarados goes for Rain Dance. We're not going to complain at that because that means that the Arcanine cannot hit us with a flamethrower and therefore cannot burn us. We will take a couple of turns of extreme speed damage, and that brings us on to Executor. We'll start off with a little nibble, and then we'll do another one. Keep it out of healing range, and that was a very simple Blue. Earth Badge in 1:17:59. That means we have all 16 of our gym badges. We can have a little chat now with Professor Oak. We can unlock Silver Cave, and then it will be time for Red. And so we are in Silver Cave. We are going to give it our best shot. This is Red, the final trainer of the challenge, and he leads with Pikachu. We are going to go for a little bit of a scumbag strategy here. We are just going to be relying on one Thunder missing to begin with, and then we'll take things from there. So we'll use a Curse, and we will just play for the miss. And playing for the miss hasn't gone too well for us throughout the course of this challenge, but we will keep on trying. That will give us a one-shot on Pikachu. Then we can move on to the Espeon. Let's Protect. Let's use a Curse. Let's Protect again. And we don't outspeed the Espeon actually after 2 Curses. That's good to know. Not the best thing in the world, but still not the worst. I'm actually thinking, you know, I've made a slight error in this learn set. I think we should have held on to Bite instead of Giga Drain. So I went back to an earlier save state, and I have fixed that. So now we do have Bite on the learn set. That will hopefully give us what we need to get through the Espeon. This one is going to be about the luck, like it has been for a lot of this challenge. We are going to be playing around the RNG because we don't have the best stats in the world, and we don't have the best moves in the world. So we really are at the mercy of the Gen 2 engine here. In fact, we might not even be able to curse at all at the very beginning of this one. Let's see, is this a one-shot on the Pikachu? Yes, it is. Now let's move on to the Espeon. If we can fish for a flinch, might have to double flinch. I think we might have to get the double flinch here. So we return on turn 1 against Pikachu. And then we move on to Bite for the Espeon. We get a critical hit. Reflect is a little bit annoying, but we can deal with it. We're on to Snorlax next. We are going to Curse turn 1. Then we shall Protect. Then we shall Curse again. And we've been paralysed. CROBAT, for all of its upsides, does not have the best moves in the world. And that is really, really holding us back now. It would also be nice if we had a little bit more in our offensive stats. But this is the hand we are dealt with. It's been a long while since we've had a Pokémon which has got into the 40s on the resets. At least in pre-recorded videos. There have been a couple on stream that have been a little bit frustrating in recent times, at least at the time of recording. So we were well overdue a tough challenge. But this one, starting to get on my nerves a little bit, I've got to be honest. Let us keep on trying. Eventually the luck will produce itself. This one, we are now 445. Body Slam, I remind you, is a 30% chance to paralyze. 3-0. The luck we are getting is extraordinarily bad. And now I'm recording the rest of this voiceover in post for the red fight. I just could not deal with talking and doing the red fights all at the same time. You could hear I was getting really sick by the end of this one, and I just wanted this battle over. In hindsight, maybe going and getting a couple of extra levels would have helped, but I don't think there was much we could have done to easily survive the Espeon. But eventually everything came together just as we needed it. We didn't get paralysed by the Snorlax, we got through the Espeon, we didn't get Blizzard hitting us from the Blastoise either, we didn't get burnt by the Charizard, and that meant that we were on our last Pokemon, and I got very, very happy. Oh, I thought that crit was going to knock us out, but we are through red. 127.58 for the red battle. Let's take a look at the final leaderboards. And now, after a few disaster zone fights, we are in last place on the Egg Move leaderboard. However, we are still sub 130 and 88th place overall for all of our crystal runs. So I still think we did fairly well. Room for improvement, but still not a terrible challenge. But with that, we are done. So I really hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, make sure to leave a like. If you've got any feedback, please be kind though, leave it in the comments down below. If you want to see more challenges just like this, click the subscribe button. Join the HM Friends as a channel member to get early access. And until next time, I will say thank you all so much for watching, and I'll catch you all very, very soon.